1. The tyrant of the starship. Commander Vera Kess was not just a leader. She was a storm wrapped in the cold, unyielding armor of authority. Aboard the Celestial Arbitrator, a massive deep space vessel carrying the last remnants of a dying colony fleet, her word was law, and her law was fear. The command deck hummed with subdued tension as officers moved like ghosts, careful not to draw her attention. One wrong glance, one misplaced word, and the punishment was swift. Some were sent to the cryocells, frozen for weeks as a reminder of their failure. Others were reassigned to the radiation-scarred lower decks, where the air was thin and the work was lethal. Vera stood at the panoramic viewport, her sharp violet eyes reflecting the distant swirl of a dying star. Behind her, Lieutenant Darren adjusted the ship's course with trembling fingers. "You're slow today, Darren," she said without turning. His breath hitched. "Apologies, Commander. The ion turbulence is. Excuses are for the weak." She turned, her black uniform immaculate, her gloved hand resting on the shock baton at her hip. "Another error, and you'll spend the next cycle in silence." Darren swallowed hard. No one returned from the silence chambers the same. A chime sounded, an incoming transmission. Vera's lips curled. "Patch it through." The holographic screen flickered to life, revealing the scarred face of Captain Elias Rook, leader of the rogue vessel Iron Resolve, the last free ship not under Vera's control. "Kess," he growled, "you've taken your tyranny far enough. Release the colony ships. Let them find their own way." Vera laughed. "Or what, Rook? You'll ask me again." His jaw tightened. "There are still those who remember freedom." She leaned in. "And they will remember what happens when they defy me." With a flick of her wrist, she terminated the transmission. But this time something was different. This time someone spoke back. To the voice in the dark. The Celestial Arbitrator was a maze of steel and shadows, and deep within its belly, in a forgotten maintenance shaft, a single voice broke the silence. "She can't keep doing this." The speaker was Jace Vorden, a junior engineer who had seen too many friends vanish under Vera's rule. Around him, a small group huddled, techs, medics, even a former officer. All outcast, all afraid. "What choice do we have?" whispered Lyra, a medic with hollow eyes. "She controls the security drones, the comms, even the life support systems." Jace clenched his fists. "Then we take control back." A scoff came from the corner. "And how? You've seen what happens to anyone who stands against her." Jace's gaze hardened. "We make sure she can't silence us." That night, as the ship's artificial night cycle dimmed the lights, Jace slipped into the central comm hub. The security drones patrolled in predictable patterns, another flaw in Vera's perfect system. She had grown so accustomed to fear that she never considered defiance. With a stolen access chip, Jace overrode the ship's internal broadcast. Then, for the first time in years, a voice that wasn't Vera's echoed through every corridor. The words that broke fear. "This is Jace Vorden. You are not alone." The words rippled through the ship like an electric current. Crew members froze. Some looked up in disbelief, others in hope. Vera's reaction was instant. "Find him," she snarled, storming onto the command deck. "Shut down that transmission." But it was too late. "She rules because we let her," Jace continued, his voice steady. "But we outnumber her. We control the systems. We keep this ship alive, not her." A security officer hesitated before raising his weapon. "Commander, what if he's right?" Vera's shock baton crackled to life. "You dare!" For the first time, the officer didn't flinch. "For the fall of the tyrant." The mutiny was swift. Without fear, Vera had no power. The crew moved as one, disabling drones, sealing off her loyalists, reclaiming the ship. When they cornered her in the command center, she stood alone, her once impeccable uniform disheveled, her eyes burning with fury. "You will all burn for this," she hissed. Jay stepped forward. "No. You will answer for what you've done." The last thing Vera Kess heard before the cryocell sealed shut was the sound of a ship, her ship cheering. 5. A new dawn. With Vera imprisoned, the fleet reunited with the iron resolve. Captain Rook stood beside Jace as the colony ships plotted a new course, toward freedom, not fear. "You took a hell of a risk," Rook said. Jace smiled. "Someone had to." And as the celestial arbitrator sailed into the unknown, its crew no longer moved in silence. They spoke. And they were heard. The trial of Vera Kess. The cryocell hissed open, releasing a plume of frozen vapor. Vera Kess stumbled forward, her limbs stiff from weeks in forced stasis. The room beyond was not her command deck. It was a tribunal chamber, filled with the very people she had once ruled with an iron grip. Jace Vorden stood at the center, flanked by Captain Rook and a council of former officers, engineers and medics. The air hummed with tension. "You don't have the authority to try me," Vera spat, her voice hoarse but still sharp. "I am the commander of this fleet." "No," Jace said. "You were." A screen flickered to life, displaying recordings of her atrocities. Crew members frozen for minor mistakes, dissenters exiled to the radiation zones, entire shifts worked under the threat of starvation. The evidence was undeniable. Captain Rook stepped forward. "By the laws of the Colonial Accord, you're charged with tyranny, endangerment of human life, and unlawful imprisonment." Vera's lips curled. "Laws. There is no law out here but survival." "And yet," Jace countered, "we survived despite you." The verdict was unanimous. Vera Kess would never command again. A new command. With the fleet reunited, the celestial arbitrator and iron resolve drifted side by side, their crews working together for the first time in years. The colony ships, once held hostage by Vera's paranoia, were free to chart their own paths. Jay stood on the bridge, now stripped of its oppressive aura. The viewport displayed a sea of stars, uncharted, unknown, but no longer feared. "You should take command," Rook said, clapping him on the shoulder. "They'll follow you." Jace shook his head. "No one person should have that kind of power. We'll govern together. Council votes, open debates. No more silence." Rook grinned. "Then let's get to work." The last transmission. Before the fleet dispersed, Jace sent one final broadcast, not just to their ships, but on an open channel in case anyone else was listening in the void. "This is Jace Vorden of the Celestial Arbitrator. If you can hear this, know this. Fear only works if you let it. Speak up. Stand together. And if someone tries to silence you." He paused, glancing at the cryocell where Vera now slept, awaiting her fate. "Make sure they hear you louder." The transmission ended. Somewhere, in the dark between stars, another ship picked up the signal. And for the first time in a long time, someone who had been afraid wasn't.